WNK Sports Talk. I'm Nick Bodkins.
And I'm Craig Koger, and we're going to kick off the show today with some breaking news that just came in. Dallas Cowboys fire head coach Wade Phillips today. Do you think this was a good decision or a bad decision by Jerry Jones?
Well, they replaced him with their offensive coordinator, Jason Garrett, and I don't think that was a smart decision. But the firing of Wade Phillips was going to come either at the end of the season anyway. And like I said, I don't think the hiring of Jason Garrett was a good idea because he's been part of the problem. Their offense does not have an identity. Their defense has been absolutely horrendous, especially in the past. Aaron Rodgers picked them apart last night. And Wade Phillips, we talked earlier in the year about them not being a very disciplined team, about the celebration penalties and everything like that. And that falls back on your head coach. And they're going to have to find a head coach, I think, at the end of the year who's going to be a strong guy, kind of like what they had in Bill Parcells. But this is a good idea. I don't know if it would have been a good idea now, but I think Jerry Jones did it to keep his fans happy right now, because that's what people are calling for, is for Wade Phillips to get fired. What do you think, Craig?
I agree with you. I think the fans might have had a little bit of something to do with this. I think after the 45-7 loss last night, something had to be done. Jerry Jones had to do something. Right now, there's not a lot you can do with the team. The worst thing is their defense, in my opinion. Even if Tony Romo wasn't hurt, this would not be the best football team because their defense just gives up too many points. Like you said, Aaron Rodgers just picked them apart last night, 45 points. I think it was a good decision by Jerry Jones. I don't think it's really a decision that's going to have any effect on the team immediately. And I think at the end of the year, that the Dallas Cowboys should go in a different direction and should still keep searching for a head coach.
From one head coach firing to maybe possibly another one, the Minnesota Vikings, 17 unanswered points to come back from behind and beat Arizona in overtime. Did Brad Childress save his job, or should I say, did Brett Favre save Brad Childress' job yesterday?
In my personal opinion, I think Brad Childress' job was safe before the game. I think Ziggy Wilf was going to fire Brad Childress. He had every reason to do it over the whole Randy Moss situation when that all unraveled. I think Brad Childress is their guy till the end of the year. I think Brett Favre is their quarterback till the end of the year. I think they're going, with the guys that they started the year off with. They said this was the team that they wanted to try to get back to the Super Bowl. I think Ziggy Wilf's going to stick with those guys at least till the end of the year. Brad Childress, I think, is out at the end of the year, though.
I totally agree with you. This is the bed they made. They went and got Brett Favre. They tried to get Randy Moss. That experiment failed. And there's many reports that other players who wanted Brad Childress out after the Randy Moss thing. There's reports that they still wanted him out even after they won yesterday. And so obviously players aren't happy. He got into it with Percy Harvin, who absolutely played his butt off yesterday. And Brett Favre has definitely got to retire at the year. And you got to ask yourself, does Brett Favre think it was worth it coming back? This team's not very good. They don't have a big win. They beat Arizona yesterday. They beat the Cowboys and the Lions, two struggling teams. And they have not looked good. I definitely think Brad Childress is on his way out as well. They don't have any coherency. Their defense is not even the same as quite last year. They're not getting after the quarterback. They finally got after Derek Anderson the second half yesterday, but that was about it. But I definitely think Brad Childress is on his way out, and maybe somebody else in Minnesota will come in, and they'll have a new quarterback and kind of a new regime there in Minnesota at the end of this year.
Yeah, I think so too. Also, Brad Childress and Brett Favre had a little argument, or some comments I heard the other day as well. And on that note, speaking about fighting, there was two pretty big races this week. Zenyatta lost by a head to Blame in the Breeders' Cup, and also Denny Hamlin won yesterday and in Texas. But both of those races were highlighted by fights. Two jockeys got into a fight at the Breeders' Cup, and then two big-name racers, Jeff Gordon and Jeff Burton, got into a fight at the race in Texas. Do you think these were good or bad, or?
Well, this is definitely, the Zenyatta winning. I think if Zenyatta would have won, that would have been good for horse racing. The two jockeys get into it highlighted actually the race, and same with Jeff Burton and Jeff Gordon. This isn't the greatest thing for either sport, but it's what people drew it in now headlines of what happened on the track instead of actually the victory. So if you're Blame or you're Denny Hamlin that won yesterday, you're now pushed to the side, and we're talking about these two fights that happened, and especially in NASCAR, you have Jeff Gordon, who's probably one of the most famous NASCAR racers, NASCAR drivers, and here he is duking it out with another car driver on here, and we're talking about that instead of what happened on the tracks. And so I wouldn't really say it's good for the sport, but here it is, something else, something bad highlighting, because that's what people like, is controversy and fights and two people duking it out. What are your thoughts?
I'm right there with you. I'm one of those people. I like to see the fights. I don't watch hockey very often. My favorite thing about hockey is watching the fights. I like this. Jeff Gordon, Jeff Burton out there, showing their competitive edge, showing that their heart's in the race out there, actually getting into a fight with each other. The jockeys, I love it. Horse racing, I don't follow it. I don't like it. I don't watch it. Two jockeys in a horse race fighting catches my attention, makes me pay attention. I think it's good. I like it. And then moving on, we're going to get into some NCAA football talk. The BCS shapes up about the way that it ended and the way that it started last week. TCU beat down Utah by 40 points at home. We still got Oregon 1, Auburn 2, TCU 3, Boise State 4. We're coming into the final couple of weeks. A couple of these teams might have a shot to run the table. How do you think the BCS is going to shape up?
Well, looking at each of the 4 teams' schedules, I really think 3 of these teams could possibly go undefeated. I think Auburn will lose at Alabama, even though Alabama lost yesterday, which I think will make them more hungry to beat Auburn due to the fact that that'll be like their big title game. It's been obviously kind of a disappointing season for the Crimson Tide now, not being able to play for another championship. But that'll be like their championship game, is to be able to knock out their rival Auburn to play in the national championship. TCU and Boise State, you look at these two squads, and like you said, TCU, that's a big win yesterday or Saturday, beating down Utah. Boise State has to go at Nevada, and I think that if they can light up Nevada the way TCU beat down Utah, that they can jump over Boise, or they can jump over TCU. I think Oregon will finish the year undefeated. And I think it'll be Oregon and Boise State in the playing for the national championship game.
I agree with you about Oregon running the table. Their toughest game coming up is against Arizona, but that is in Oregon. Arizona's a tough opponent, but I think Oregon can handle them, especially at home. Auburn going to Alabama is going to be a very tough game. It's going to be, like you said, a very big game for Alabama, but at the same time, I think it's a even bigger game for Auburn because they know what's on the line. If they beat Georgia, they're going into Alabama knowing that if they win that game, they've got a pretty good shot of getting into the title game. Cam Newton at quarterback running that offense, I think Auburn's going to run the table. I see Oregon and Auburn in the title game at the end of the year.
Speaking of Cam Newton lit it up again against Chattanooga. He had 4 touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown. Is he running away with the Heisman, or does anybody else have a chance?
In my opinion, Cam Newton is running away with the Heisman. I think he's going to finish the year off with the Heisman Trophy. There are some other names on the list. You got LaMichael James of Oregon. You've also got Kellen Moore out of Boise State. Both of them putting up good numbers. Kellen Moore just ridiculous numbers last week, over 500 yards against Hawaii. He's a good quarterback, but at the same time, Cam Newton plays in a tougher division. He plays against tougher defenses. LSU is one of the top defenses in the league. He played LSU, beat LSU earlier in the year. He can catch the ball, run the ball, throw the ball. Cam Newton, all-around player. I think he's the Heisman winner at the end of the year.
The only guy that I think that, because LaMichael James, he had 3 touchdowns last week. He has 0 fumbles on the season, and that's pretty crazy. They give it to him 20 times a game. But I think you're right about Cam Newton. I think he will win the Heisman. The question is, will people vote for him due to the speculation of the money situation of agents supposedly trying to bribe a school for him? Will voters vote for him still, even though without the Reggie Bush? I think they will, because they still, there's no change that what Cam Newton has done. His family's not living in a new house like Reggie Bush's. So I think that'll pass. Cam Newton will win the Heisman. I think LaMichael James will win second. Cam Newton will win it because he gets the ball. He touches the ball more than what his offense is revolved around, what he does with the football.
I agree. And from BCS to NBA, undefeated teams to another, we've got 2 undefeated teams left in the NBA. The LA Lakers are 7-0, and the New Orleans Hornets are 6-0. Surprising. Most people would have thought Miami would be undefeated by now through the first 10 games or so. Who do you think is more likely to lose first, the Lakers or the Hornets?
Well, looking at their schedule, the Lakers later this week, they got the T-Wolves, the Nuggets, and the Suns, and the Hornets are in action tonight with the Clippers, and then they play the Mavericks down the road, and the Blazers. But I think they'll both win tonight, with the Lakers beating the T-Wolves and the Hornets beating the Clippers. But looking down, I think the Mavs, they match up pretty well against the Hornets, so I think they could win that game. And the Lakers, they got the Nuggets and the Suns, so the Suns usually both of them play the Lakers tough. But if you're going to ask me which team's going to lose first, I definitely think it's going to be the Hornets first, because I think the Lakers are very hungry. I think Kobe Bryant's hungry, and I think they want that third championship and to try to outdo the Miami Heat.
Are the Lakers the best team in the NBA?
Absolutely. They're stacked. They have a great bench. They're deep. They have, I think, one of the best player in the NBA, and Kobe Bryant. They're definitely, I think, the best team, and definitely primed to win another championship. I think all the things that went on with Miami and nobody talking about the Lakers, that just fed fuel to the fire for the LA Lakers.
All right, one last quick thing. Monday Night Football. Who you got? Pittsburgh, Cincinnati.
I got Pittsburgh by about 10.
Yeah, I'll take Pittsburgh by 13.
All right, thanks for tuning in to the B&K Sports Talk radio show. You can hit us up on Facebook at B&K Sports Talk, or you can email us bnksportstalk@hotmail.com. Leave us comments, questions that we can answer on air. Thanks a lot for tuning in.
Thank you.